All right. Good afternoon. Happy Monday to all of you guys. Thank you so much for joining me for another episode of That SideQuest Show. We had a lot of problems come up last week while I was trying to get this episode done. Turns out my computer needs really fast internet to run what I'm trying to do. Yeah, got that figured out. Had to hardline a 100-foot cable from upstairs all the way down the stairs into our studio space. But now, I don't know if you can tell, but the quality of this is like astronomically different. Like, we got it in 4K now. The computer's running fast as hell. So we're rocking and we're rolling. Thank you so much for your patience. But we've got this figured out. And in the process, I figured out how to get this on 4K. I didn't realize that I could do that. So we're making progress, and it's only episode 2. So I was going to do an episode. I was going to do the episode that I was going to release last week and just re-record it for you guys. But I'm just saying, screw it. And we're just going to release this episode a little early. I'm just going to nix that episode 2 that I originally had. And we're just going to move on to 3, but it's going to be number 2. Hey guys, if you haven't already, please like and subscribe and share this video. We will be having these podcasts on audio hopefully by the end of this week. So you'll be able to find this podcast on Spotify or iTunes or wherever it is that you get your podcasts. So make sure to like and subscribe. Go follow us on Instagram at That SideQuest Show. You can say, if you follow us there, you can stay up to date on what's going on in the episodes and when they're coming out, fun stuff like that. Our first side quest for this show is going to be the road to the Oscars. They just released the Oscar nominations a couple weeks ago, and I was reading through that list and realized that 4 of my top favorite movies from last year were nominated for Oscars, but I hadn't seen any other Oscar nominations. So I was like, well, I want to have a good informed opinion on this, so I want to try and watch as many of these Oscar nominations as I possibly can. We're starting off with some that I've watched before. I rewatched them this last week so I can have a fresh perspective on everything. And so this week we're going to be going over Bugonia, One Battle After Another, The Lost Bus, and If I Had Legs, I Would Kick You. All 4 of these movies were absolutely incredible. I'd seen Bugonia and One Battle After Another before. Had not seen The Lost Bus until last night. And then as I was going through the list last week and kind of trying to prep for the show, the title for If I Had Legs, I Would Kick You just stood out, and it had an interesting plot that I figured. I was like, yeah, let's try that one out. And holy shit, it was not what I expected it was going to be. The first one we're going to cover is Bugonia. This movie was directed by Yorgos Lanthimos, and it was a comedy thriller kind of sci-fi adaptation of a South Korean sci-fi film called Save the Green Planet. And it was absolutely incredible. I went into this blind, not really knowing what was going on. I had heard that Emma Stone, shaved her head for this role. I've become a really big fan of Jesse Plemons as well, too. I've seen him in a lot of his roles. I really liked what he did in Civil War, and so I saw his face up on this, and I was like, I gotta check that out. Bugonia is about these 2 conspiracy theorists who abduct this pharmaceutical CEO thinking that she's an alien that's intending to destroy the Earth. And so it's very, very dark humor, a lot of sci-fi kind of twists in it. And this movie kind of kept me on my feet. Like in this time, in the time that we are in society right now, conspiracy theories are, we are not lacking any conspiracy theories right now. And so seeing 2 conspiracy theorists, that have this belief that these aliens are going to be destroying the Earth, and then they're acting on it, and they are, kidnapping, a CEO, the elite of society. They're kidnapping one of them to, stop the planet from being destroyed. And there are going to be spoilers in this a little bit. I'm going to try and stay away from them as much as I can. But like, this movie was such a crazy ride because you imagine these conspiracy theorists are wrong. They're saying all the craziest things. They're shaving her head. They're making her put on this what was the cream that they put on her? It was like an antibacterial cream to keep her immune system safe. Like, and they want to get on the ship. They're trying to get on the ship, and they want to talk with whoever's in charge. And it's just, it's crazy. The whole movie, you're like, dude, these people are fucking psychos. And they take her back to, where she worked, her company, and it seems like she tricks him to get in the closet, and then he does get in the closet, and then he explodes, and you think, okay, she was playing along the whole ride, and then she did just for herself to get into the fucking closet too, and then go up to the spaceship. Insane. Wasn't expecting it. Like the whole movie, I'm expecting these conspiracy theorists to be just batshit crazy, and they just flipped the whole thing. So it was an insane movie. I really, really enjoyed it. I've been going into movies blind lately, and I've been pleasantly surprised. Like I'll give it I'll read like a sentence about what it's about, like the log line, and then that's it. I don't want anything else. I don't look at reviews or anything like that beforehand, because I just want a fresh perspective. So here's some of the Oscar nominations that Bugonia was nominated for. We'll start off with Best Picture. It was a beautiful movie. I don't know if it'll win Best Picture, because I think there were other movies that had a little bit, in my opinion, were a little bit better. And I'll let you know what those are when we get to them. Nominated for Best Actress, Emma Stone. Highly agree. I think she's a top contender for this one. It was a phenomenal performance. She had me fooled the entire movie. So I absolutely agree with that one. Best Adapted Screenplay. One, I didn't know that this was adapted from something else until I started doing research on this, and I saw it on the list. Like I had said earlier, this was adapted from a 2003 South Korean film called Save the Green Planet. And sorry, I'm looking at my other monitor over here. I don't know if y'all can read that, but yeah, so it was a South Korean sci-fi film, black comedy film, very dark. Like there were funny moments in the movie, but like it's super dark humor. So if dark humor is not your thing, you might not like it. So this movie, Save the Green Planet, was released in April of 2003. Yeah, the plot follows a young man, Lee, as he kidnaps Kang Man-sik, an executive of a major pharmaceutical company who Lee believes to be an alien. I'm really curious. I'm going to see if I can find a copy of this, because I would love to see what they adapted this from. So I'm going to be adding this to the list. When I watch it, I will do a little episode or a video to let you guys know what I think of this one. I highly, highly recommend. Let's see what other nominations there are. Oh, Best Original Score. I could totally see that too. That this movie had some very interesting music choices, and just the sound design in this movie was pretty good. So highly, highly recommend Bugonia. Make sure you watch it. Emma Stone, like I said, top contender for Best Actress. She was really good. All right, next on the list is The Lost Bus. It's a Paul Greengrass film with starring Matthew McConaughey. The Lost Bus is a movie that is a survival movie, kind of a thriller that's based on a true story of the 2018 campfire that happened out in California. This was a very deadly fire, and this is a true story of Kevin McKay, who was a bus driver who saved a busload of kids and their teachers and got them to safety during this horrific disaster. And this movie was super, super intense. The fire in it is crazy. We'll talk about that here in just a minute. But a little bit about the 2018 fire. It was the deadliest and most destructive wildfire in California's history. It started on November 8th, 2018, when some hardware on a poorly maintained power line essentially fell and started this fire, this blaze. And it was going on during these crazy winds that they were having, and the fire spread super quickly. It caused 85 fatalities and displaced over 50,000 people and destroyed over 18,000 structures and caused an estimated $16.5 billion in damages. So this is like this is an insane fire, and Kevin McKay, saves these kids and powers through this firestorm to save the kids and get back to his son and his mom. This was a super fun movie to watch. I don't know if I would say fun. It was an exciting movie to watch. The Lost Bus was nominated for Best Visual Effects, and I can see why. They give this fire a personality of its own. It is almost its own character. I would argue it is its own character in this movie, and there's a lot of sequences of just crazy fires around the bus, and you get perspective of the fire too as it kind of spreads. You see it, the camera kind of moves, through the woods and through the fire to, you see where it's gonna go and where it's like its plan of attack is, and I think they're a top contender for best visual effects because it's just crazy. How do you? I mean, fire already is this big, powerful, destructive force, and you could argue that fire in and of itself has a personality, right? But the way that they capture that in this movie, I thought was incredible. It kept me on the edge of my seat, and McConaughey does a phenomenal job in this movie. My roommate said this last night while we were watching it, and I agree. This is one of his more grounded characters that we've seen in a while. Like, this is like, not so regular dude, because this guy is a hero, but he's going through this, throughout the movie, he's going through this battle of, trying to be a good dad and take care of his son. And meanwhile, his son's a teenager, and, they're kind of butting heads. And, Kevin's character didn't have a good relationship with his father, And so seeing him, like, the stakes for him was, he had to get back to his son and his mother and make sure that they were safe and that they got out of the fire too. But meanwhile, he's the only bus that is available to pick these kids up, and he answers the call and he delivers. So highly recommend The Lost Bus. It was nominated for best visual effects, and for that I completely agree. All right, now we're going to talk about If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You. This was a great movie. I'm so glad that it was one of the first ones I watched when I decided to start watching all these, because it just got me fired up and excited about what else I'm going to watch. So If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You is a psychological dramedy that kind of blends dark humor, emotional intensity. It stars Rose Byrne as a therapist and this mother that's kind of spiraling through her own personal crises. Her daughter has an illness. They don't really explain or like define what it is. You kind of slowly learn through the film, like, she's on a feeding tube, and that's kind of it. That she needs that she's having a hard time eating, and her body needs to like gain more weight to get better. But yeah, so she's dealing with her child's illness, and her home life, it seems like it's collapsing. It's just an intense film, like, she's obviously going through a lot. I think this movie, I feel like a big theme in this movie is about postpartum depression and dealing with being a mother, which I knew that's what, I don't know, like I said, I've been going into these blind. I knew that, she was dealing with these two things. But I read, like, I saw the genre like on Google, and it said comedy/drama, and I saw that Conan O'Brien is in this movie playing a therapist, and I thought, like, oh, this is gonna be a really funny movie, and it had its moments. It was not that. It was not like this, great funny flick. It was really intense, and it's kind of, at the beginning it was kind of confusing. They shoot it in a perspective where you're just on Rose Byrne the entire time. Like, it's her show. She's the lead. You're in the mind of her. You are experiencing what she's experiencing. But that includes, like the filmmakers don't include a lot that you think you would expect to be included at the beginning. I don't think we slowly see the daughter throughout. But the daughter's an active character, but you don't really see her. It's in it was shot so interestingly, and at times it was kind of frustrating because you're like, I loved, seeing what, Linda, what Rose Byrne's character is going through, and how she's trying to do her best, but also falling into habits and coping mechanisms, and you want to see like kind of how everybody else is going to react to her, but you see everything from her perspective for the majority of the movie. And it was shot very interestingly, and they did a phenomenal job. At first it was confusing, then as the story went on, I got it more. So Rose Byrne absolutely killed it in this. Christian Slater is also in this movie. He is her husband. You hear his voice a lot on the over the phone, and he comes in a little bit later. But then one performance I was super proud of, or I wouldn't say proud, but I found was super unexpected, was A$AP Rocky. He killed it in this movie. He played a great character. He was good. I don't know how else to say it. Like, he can act. I was pleasantly surprised. Like, it didn't feel forced. He didn't seem like he was overacting or underacting. He played the part just right. So for that, A$AP Rocky, congratulations. Great job. That was phenomenal. I hope to see you in more stuff. So Oscar nominations, Rose Byrne is nominated for Best Actress. I think she and Emma Stone are going to be, I still need to watch the rest of these movies. But as of right now, both of them, I can see them as top two contenders for that. Both did a great job. Rose Byrne, I think, might have the edge on Emma Stone, because this whole feature film, they just focused on Rose Byrne, and she does such a great job dealing with emotions and like there's just a lot of range, and I feel like in Rose Byrne's performance that I didn't necessarily feel like I got from Bugonia. So that was a great movie. Highly recommend. Watch it. It can be a little triggering. I can see how it could be some triggering for some people. But it's a great flick. All right, so I saved the best one for last because I have the most to say about this one. It is my favorite film from 2025, and as we go through these Oscar nominations and I watch these movies, this is kind of the standard that I've kind of set, and I am just so stoked about this movie. One Battle After Another is this story that follows this ex-revolutionary that's forced back into his former lifestyle when he and his daughter are pursued by this corrupt, I guess you'd call him a cop. He's a military officer, I think. And this movie, I had me on the edge of my seat from start to finish. Like, it was just such an intense watch. Like, it got my heart racing at times. My Apple Watch literally notified me like twice in this movie that my heart rate, like, I'd been sitting too long and that my heart rate was way too high for sitting down. Like, it was such a great movie. A lot of intensity. The cast in this is just top shelf. Leonardo DiCaprio killed it. I am not joking. I think this is my personal favorite Leonardo DiCaprio performance in recent years. This is just incredible acting. Sean Penn, it plays this psycho, this crazy corrupt dude, this white supremacist that he's got a thing for black women, and there's nothing wrong with that, except that he's a white supremacist and wants to be a part of this cult, group, of elites, and he's trying to erase his past, and that's the chase. And Sean Penn plays. He is so good. He got nominated for Best Supporting Actor, as well as Benicio del Toro, who in this movie is just the freaking best. he's by far the coolest character. He's just got so much swag and mojo, and just dealing with the chaos. He is just like, he's just locked in, and he plays a sensei. So I mean, that kind of, I get that, like he kind of, I love that he's a sensei, because he has this kind of like this, I don't know, I wouldn't say it's like self-control, but this like, man, not self-control, but like this, I don't know, man, I don't know how you'd say it, like kind of like he's like, I would just like, I'm gonna deal with whatever comes my way. It's gonna be fine. It's all gonna work out. And in this movie of this chaos and this, this intensity that Leo brings when he comes into a room and he's going through what he's going through, and everybody's after them, Benicio del Toro, the sensei, just has this like cool demeanor, and throughout the whole thing, and I want to see a movie about him, and I can say the same thing about Sean Penn's character. Both of their characters, I could watch films about both of them. They were just so incredible. And with both of them being nominated for supporting actor, man, I don't know who I would pick, honestly. It's a little close for me. But what I will say, so this movie just has incredible acting. Teyana Taylor kills it. I wish you get a bit of her, and she does a great job. I wish I could have seen more of her. I want to know what's going on with her at the end of this story. And then Chase Infinity. Oh my gosh, she did a phenomenal job. I believe this is her film debut. Okay, so she's done some television. She did Presumed Innocent. But this is her first feature film. That's awesome. And yeah, she did a phenomenal job. This movie, I would say, is just as it had me emotionally almost just as much, if not more than If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You. But once again, this movie just had an intensity to it that's really like, I haven't had a movie like that. I haven't watched a movie like that literally kept me, physically tense like that in a long time, if ever, honestly. Also, the camera work. Okay, well, let's see what the nominations are. Okay, so One Battle After Another has a lot of nominations. So, number one, Best Actor, Leonardo DiCaprio. Totally think he's up there. My favorite performance from him in a very, very long time. Best Supporting Actor, like I said, both Sean Penn and Benicio del Toro. I think that's a really tight race. And I personally don't know who I would pick between the two. They both were so incredible in their different ways. Both did an insane job. Best Original Score, yeah, 100%. I could see that. The music in it really helps drive the intensity. Yeah, the music in this movie is absolutely incredible. Oh, and Best Adapted Screenplay, again, like I said, I didn't know that this was adapted. Okay, so it was adapted from a novel called Vineland that was a 1990 postmodern novel by Thomas, I don't know how to say that, Pynchon, set in California in 1984, the year of Donald Reagan's re-election. Through flashbacks, its characters who lived through the 1960s account for free spirit and rebellion of that decade and describe the traits of the fascistic Nixonian repression and the war on drugs that clash with it. And the book portrays transformations in U.S. society from 1960s to the 1980s. Wow, this is really interesting. So after a scene in which former hippie Zoid Wheeler dives through a window, something is required to do yearly to keep receiving mental disability checks. The novel opens with a resurfacing of federal agent Barack Vaughn, who, through a platoon of agents, forces Zoid and his 14-year-old daughter, Prairie, out of their house. This looks interesting. I'm gonna check this out and do a little deeper dive on this. But yeah, so best adapted screenplay. I can totally I got more to watch. But they were nominated for Best Picture and Best Cinematography, and I gotta say I really love how this movie was filmed. They keep the chase scenes in this are phenomenal. They keep you, like I said, on the edge of your seat. The final chase scene they're going up and down these hills in the desert, and the way the camera just kind of rides and glides with the road and the cars is just it's a masterclass. It's incredible. The way they use hills to hide cars and reveal cars, and You know, the fact that they're out in the middle of nowhere, like that whole sequence is absolutely phenomenal. And I'm really excited to see how they stand against everybody else, because it was such a good, a well shot movie, in my opinion. All right, y'all. So that's going to wrap up our first episode of this Road to the Oscars series. We talked about one battle after another. If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You, The Lost Bus, and Bugonia. So make sure to go watch all those. If you haven't and I spoiled something for you, I'm sorry, but go back, watch those movies. They're absolutely incredible. And let me know what you think. If you liked them and liked what I had to say, let me know. If you didn't like what I had to say, let me know as well. This is going to be interactive, so please let me know what you like, what you don't like. Maybe if there's something that I need to be including in these analysis, let me know. Hopefully, eventually, I'm going to start trying to share some screenshots and examples of stuff that I liked. Next week, we will be talking about Marty Supreme, K-pop Demon Hunters, and Sinners. So I'm super excited about that. I have seen Sinners before. I have some hot takes that y'all may or may not like. So I'm going to give it a rewatch because it's been months and months since I've seen it, and to have a little bit of a fresh take on it. But we will be back next week. Peanut butter.